Charismatic leadership combines charm, interpersonal skills, and persuasiveness to influence and motivate others. Let's explore. Charismatic leaders are great at inspiring and motivating others to achieve their goals. They do this by tapping into their team members' emotions, by inspiring trust and belief, and by creating a commitment and a passion for something they believe in. Charismatic leadership is different from other forms of leadership in that it focuses more on the interpersonal relationships between the leader and the people they lead. The modern study of charismatic leadership goes back to the 1920s, when Max Weber was interested in why it is that people follow leaders. One of the reasons that he discovered was charisma. To Weber, charisma was a form of power which was more about appearance than it was about deeds. He observed three key characteristics of a charismatic leader: a psychological dimension, their inner qualities; a social aspect, or how society affects them; and a relational dimension, how the leader interacts with their followers. Charismatic leaders tend to build strong emotional relationships with their followers. The problem with this can be that they will lose their leadership authority if their followers withdraw their support. In 1976, Robert House articulated his own theory of charismatic leadership in a paper entitled The Theory of Charismatic Leadership. He suggested that certain behaviours mean people are likely to characterise a leader as outstanding, even heroic. He described charismatic leaders as people who, by the force of their personal abilities, are capable of having profound and extraordinary effects on followers. House found that charismatic leaders have personal and behavioural characteristics that inspire people to want to follow them. Indeed, evidence from twin studies suggests that there is both a genetic or nature component to charismatic leadership and also a learned or nurture component too. Charismatic leaders are, it seems, partly born and partly made. Charismatic leaders show vision, determination, and confidence, and they communicate exceptionally well. As a result, followers are inspired to follow such leaders rather than feeling a compulsion or a duty to do so. This creates an enthusiasm that motivates followers to perform to high levels with a lot of commitment to achieve the goals. In House's theory of charismatic leadership, he suggested a number of things we need to do to use the charismatic leadership style. We must promote strong, values-based principles, and we must live by those values. We must demonstrate absolute integrity and show competence in everything we do. We must also show confidence in our decisions and in our teams. And finally, we must build capability, confidence, motivation, and enthusiasm in our team members. So, what are the skills that a charismatic leader needs? They must be highly articulate in the spoken word and often in the written word too. They need charm to engage and win over the people around them. And listening skills so that when people speak, they will feel heard. They need empathy, the ability to sense and tap into the emotions of their followers, and a confidence that inspires confidence in the people around them. They need a passion for what they do to inspire commitment, and an optimism that sees opportunities even in adverse circumstances. They need a determination to succeed no matter what the challenge is, and a resilience to remain calm and confident under pressure. And finally, they need the ability to take controlled risks. Risk-taking can be a strength or a weakness, depending upon the level of evaluation and control. Highly charismatic leaders are able to evaluate risks properly and take the right ones. In return for all of this, you can expect your followers to reward you with their loyalty and their confidence in your leadership. But in the best charismatic leaders, we see even more. We see humility, a willingness to own up to your own mistakes and to learn from them, to admit when you get something wrong or when you don't know something, and to engage your team in helping you to solve problems. We see self-awareness, an ability to rise above pettiness and to focus on what really matters. And we see transparency, an openness about what you're doing and why you're doing it. The golden rule is a good one for charismatic leaders to follow. Treat other people as you would wish other people to treat you. However, as history shows us only too clearly, there are risks to charismatic leadership. If charismatic leadership becomes a dominant style, here are some of those risks. Firstly, followers can take shortcuts, can take risks, or even behave unethically in order to please their leaders. And secondly, an inability to see or to understand their own shortcomings can weaken a charismatic leader. They can become inflexible and unable to adapt to changes to the detriment of the ultimate goal that they're seeking to achieve. And let's be honest, charisma is rooted in emotional manipulation. It can therefore lead their followers, either deliberately or inadvertently, to accept ideas uncritically and to act without compunction. And charismatic leaders can find themselves addicted to the loyalty and support of their followers. This can distort their judgment and lead them to behave unethically to maintain that support and loyalty. And followers can become addicted to their leader's charisma too. This can create a dependence that leads to unhealthy behaviours. As a result of these, charismatic leaders can sometimes show favouritism to the more loyal supporters, and therefore to penalise those who do not show as much loyalty or as uncritical support. Charismatic leaders can also create a feeling of exceptionalism, the perception that nobody can replace them. They can feel it themselves, but they can also engender it in their organisations. They can become overconfident, leading to eccentric, manipulative, attention-seeking, or even exploitative behaviours. As a result, they may decide they don't need to listen to other people. And going further, they may even decide that other people, including their followers, are in some way less than them, inferior. And finally, charismatic leaders can become seduced by their own mythology. They can become overconfident in their own ideas and capabilities. This can lead to monomania, acting in their own self-interest and not in the interest of their followers or their organisations. Charismatic leadership is a very powerful form of leadership, but, to quote the cliche, with great power comes great responsibility. Please do give this video a like if you've enjoyed it or learned from it. I'll be creating loads more great management courses videos for you, so please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any of them. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and in the meantime, keep learning.